most people buy ActiveCampaign for its automation capabilities. I know you have done as well. You went to the pricing page, you saw some cool features, you saw its automation capabilities, and you bought it. However, 3 months later, all you manage to do is just use their email tool. ActiveCampaign is not just an email tool. It's a fully fledged CRM system that has one of the most sophisticated automation capabilities out there. In this video, I'm going to be going over 2 key important things that's going to completely change the way you are going to be using your CRM system on Active. Firstly, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up your CRM system in the most professional, proper manner. Secondly, I want to show you exactly how you can automate your entire sales process using ActiveCampaign's fully fledged automation engine that they provide for you, that you're paying for, but you're not utilizing into it. So before I get into it, who am I? My name is Fahad and I build CRM systems for over 200 businesses, all the way from 6 figures to not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10, but 11-figure businesses. So we worked with 6 to 11-figure businesses setting up their automation, CRMs, reporting systems, all that stuff. With that being said, let's get into the video. Firstly, I want to show you what a proper CRM would look like, right? A proper CRM would have all their pipelines, all their stages properly defined, that's unique to their sales process, just like this, having all the key automations grouped accordingly, set up accordingly, all the key tools are integrated with each other into ActiveCampaign, and all the key fields are all set up correctly. So one such example I can show you is this guy. So the main example I can show you is what we did for this guy right here. Mac is a very popular influencer and he has over 50 million plus followers across all his socials, and we've automated his entire sales using ActiveCampaign, and all his leads all accumulate into ActiveCampaign, and from ActiveCampaign we have a bunch of automation. So this is the process map that we've created for him, where lead comes in from Instagram, from chatbots, from websites, from phone calls. Everything accumulate into ActiveCampaign, where we create the contact, we create the stage, we do a bunch of processing. But don't get overwhelmed by this, right? Let me firstly show you how we can get there. By the end of this video, you know exactly how you can automate your business and build something like this for your business as well, right? So let's get into it. So the first thing that I need you to do, if you already have an ActiveCampaign account, I need to make sure that you clean your database firstly. Now this is a very good pre-step. This is not mamno as an Arabic word for, it's like a mandatory thing. It's not mandatory, but it's really appreciated, and it's going to make your life so much easier and make everything, it's like starting on a clean slate, So how do we do that? The way you clean your database is by making sure it follows the best practices for data hygiene. That includes having no duplicates, making sure everything is formatted correctly, making sure you have proper naming conventions. So what I would do if I were you is I would go to the contact section of ActiveCampaign, export all your contacts, put them onto a Google Sheet like this, and then start cleaning them. First thing I would do, export all the contacts from this section, export them all, and then when you export them all, I want you to put them in an Excel sheet like this, and in here is when you can finally start cleaning them up. If you're using Excel, there's going to be an option called remove duplicates. You just select email address, and using the email address as the UID, could be for you guys, could be phone numbers, could be email address, whatever it is. Excel and a bunch of these tools allow you to remove duplicates. You just select which column it is, and then you click on remove duplicates. It's going to remove all duplicates out there. Now I don't fully recommend having this approach, and I'll tell you why. I don't recommend you guys doing that remove duplicates thing from this section, right? I'll tell you why. Because if your CRM has more details in one account, like for example, if you have 2 same emails, this row has more details than this row. So you want to keep this one and delete this one, right? But when you do this mass deletion, it's going to choose randomly. You don't want that to happen. You want to choose which one to go. So what I always recommend is highlighting the section where your UID is the unique identifier. Could be email, could be phone, could be both. So I would go there, I would click on the button called format. I will click on conditional format, click on the range is selected already. In here, click on custom formula, type in this, I want you guys to type in this formula it's called countf. I'll attach them in the description. put this in here. If you have a different column, just put that in there. It's formula for duplicates, and just choose the color that you want to highlight the duplicate. I want to use maroon, some orangish color. Click on done, and every time there's a duplicate, it's going to show up in here. And the quickest way to test that it's working correctly is just copy pasting the duplicate stuff. You see, it's going to show up in here. Now I can be like, hey, which one should go? Hey, this one has the last name and full name. This one doesn't have it. Maybe that should go. So you can just compare. It looks like, hey, this doesn't have a lot of information. Delete it. That's what I would do. I would go one at a time. And you can even use filters in here. Create a filter. Set up a filter by condition. And yeah, filter by condition, and the color, where is color? Yeah, sorry, not condition. Filter by color, and you can choose, and it's going to only show you the ones with that color. How beautiful is that? So that's what I would recommend. That's how I would firstly remove the duplicates. The next thing to do is making sure you format them correctly. The way I would do that is making sure that the first name and the last name, all of them are set up correctly. I would do that by using a formula called concatenate. So I'm just going to show you how it's done. Name. What I would do, I would create a column in here, and then I would use formula called proper. So there's a formula called, if you just type in this and type in proper, and then you select the column like this, and it's gonna look something like A2, and then just use fill and just drag the whole formula down, and then it's gonna make sure the first character is gonna be proper. So yeah, that's how you can format things correctly. You can look up how to format. I think number formatting, making sure the numbers are formatted correctly. Some people will have numbers in here. Removing those numbers, cleaning them up, and putting them back in here is like a very good practice. It allows you to have data hygiene, have good reporting, and making sure that your data list is as efficient and as good as possible. So it's mostly for reporting purposes that having a good hygiene is good. And then having some good naming convention where having good naming conventions where you have a particular list, you use a naming convention or format for the same list, for workflows, for all those things. Yeah, these are just good practices to use. All right, once that is done, once that boring part is done, now the next step is making sure that your CRM has all the key things involved in a proper CRM, which includes few things. Firstly, making sure all the key custom fields are in here. It's not too many, but all the key information that you need to store to make a proper decision to understand where this person is, where they are, where they want to get towards, all the key things that you need, right? Creating the custom fields for all those things and creating different groups for the things that you need is very important. So stuff like that, making sure that your pipeline is set up as good as possible, setting up any forms and all those things. Now, in order for you to do that, right? In order for you to making sure the settings are set up correctly, the custom fields, the pipelines, the stages, you need to do one very important thing, that is mapping your sales process. What does that mean? What that means is making sure that you write down the exact step that your sales team takes to do their sales. For some businesses, lead comes in, then they book an appointment, then they do this, and every single step I need you to write it down so you can map them. And what happens when you don't have a particular sales process mapped and systemized is something like this often is happening, right? You often prioritize new leads that keeps coming in. Lead from last week is drowning. You haven't contacted them yet. And the lead who contacted 2 weeks ago is dead on the ground. This is the perfect example for someone who doesn't have a proper mapped out and systemized in their ActiveCampaign account. So how do I go by mapping them out? Let me give you a series of questions that I want you to do, right? So how do we go by mapping your process? So I'll tell you what I do, and from this exercise that I do with my clients, you guys can use the same exercise to map out your exact process in the best possible manner. Yeah. So when I start working with my clients, the first thing I would do is I would send them this onboarding form. They usually fill out, they would select CRM. For CRM works, it asks them a bunch of questions. But the most important questions, firstly, it's what are the key fields that you'd like to capture apart from the default things like name and email, that's going to help you close the deal quicker and understand every single thing about this deal. So even if they come a year back later, you have have all the details in there. So they would say the key things such as lead source, where the lead is coming from, when was the first time we had a meeting, when was the last time we had a meeting, some questions that they have to answer such as where are you in your business, what is your revenue goal, which services were you interested in, where would you like your business to be in, your social links if you're an agency owner, or if you're a law firm, name of the wife, your revenue level, your salary level, stuff like that, right? Key fields. I would need you to list those things down that you need to do. Once you list those things down, the next thing that I want you to do is just group that list together, all right? For example, a set of questions that you have for having a discovery call, put them in the meeting group. For a set of questions that you have for a different thing, you put them in the different group. And the way you do that is by going in here, going to settings in here. There's going to be an option called manage data. So firstly, you come to manage data, then you see contact section, click on manage fields, and in here you can create a field. You can select what type of field you want, and then once you use the type of field that you want, then you create a group, and then you can move them very easily. For example, I create test group. I'm going to create test group, right? Just to show you guys how it works. I'm going to create test group, and I can move anything that I want. Anything that I already created, click on this. These are default fields. Click on this. I can move them into this group. You see, for some reason my UI is a bit wonky. I've been talking to their support, but yeah, if I scroll down, you see test group. I can choose the group where I want this to go to. So that's what, I'm going to delete this group. So that's what I want you to do. And always make sure whenever you're creating the fields, right? Any field that is for reporting, it's always good to have a drop down instead of text field. So there is two ways in which you can store a field. You can store a field value. You can store a value in text-based columns. Text-based means like messages. What is your message? What do you want to do? Stuff where you can predict what there is no homogeneous, there is no commonality in the answers. It's always random. Stuff like that you need text-based. But if the answers for a particular thing is always one of each set of options, always go with drop downs. Why? If you have drop downs, you can have very good reporting system. So if you have drop downs, you can make sure your reporting is correct. So you can add filtrations in your reporting. If it's text based, it's extremely hard. For example, if you have a lead source, if a lead source is a text field, it's going to be like LinkedIn, Facebook. You can't filter out only LinkedIn leads or only Reddit leads. I want to see only Reddit leads. It's going to be extremely hard. Or you want to filter out leads by group. This pie chart will have, this is Reddit, this is LinkedIn, this is Instagram, stuff like that can't be done. But if it's drop down, it's very easy to create these things. So commonality stuff, always make sure it's in a drop down, right? Now, once you mapped out your custom fields that you need, next thing that you need to do is understand if you need two different pipelines. Most businesses combine everything into one pipeline, although they need two different things. How do you know if you need two different separate pipelines? If your SQL and MQL process is completely different. For some businesses, lead comes in, it takes ages for them to convert into a qualified sales lead. It takes some nurturing, it takes some stuff. Years. When they become sales qualified, you put them in deal pipeline. For businesses like me, I don't really need it. For example, my lead is immediately booking a call. They're immediately in need. They book a call, we schedule a call, we send a proposal, we close, and that's it. But for some businesses that I deal with, right? Oftentimes they give out lead magnets, they do campaigns, they do events. Such cases, lead comes in, they slowly nurture them a bit. When they nurture them, they schedule a qualification call. After the qualification call, they book a discovery call. This whole process takes so much time, right? And not everyone converts. In such cases, you never put them all in one pipeline. Why? Because it's not a best practice, especially for tracking reasons. When you track the lead that came in all the way till the end part, it's the conversion rate is going to be completely, it's not going to be accurate. The accurate conversion rate to track is SQL, when they were really qualified and then you bought it. So that's why creating two different pipelines for the qualified ones and non-qualified ones is always good. And even for the non-qualified ones, some people don't even have a pipeline to track it. Always recommend have some pipeline in place so you can track who opted for your lead magnets, who is somewhat inquiring but not qualified. You can follow up with them just by having a CRM and having a visual layer that shows at what stage which people are in for the MQLs and people who are not qualified yet. So if you have that, you need to create two different journeys for each of them. But if you don't have it, let's click on no for now. So let's say you just have one sales process. Only qualified people comes in and then they end up converting. So in such cases, you only need one pipeline. So first thing I need to do is I need you to map out your exact sales process. Map them out. Write down every single thing that you do. Lead comes in. First thing that they do is they book a discovery call. They answer these questions, then they book a discovery call. The next thing that they do is they would then show up to the call on me. Sometimes they don't show up to the call. Sometimes they do show up to the call. So you mentioned that in this document that you're writing down, or wherever you're writing, I recommend writing this down to the AI. So tell AI, ask me these questions, give it answers. We do this, then we do this. Sometimes people are not going to show up. Sometimes people do show up. And then what happens? If they do show up, we have a call with them for 1 hour. After the call, we send them an email saying that thank you, we will send you a proposal shortly. Then we send them then we create a proposal, then we send a proposal, then we jump on a call. Sometimes we have a negotiation, then we send an invoice and a contract, then we get them onboarded. You see how all these processes, write every single thing down and then tell AI, hey AI, based on the sales process, what are the different stages that I need? I have too many sales stages. Just use the stages that AI often recommends you and go with that. All right, go with that. So that's the next thing that I need to do, and then that's pretty much about it. And then sometimes in some cases you may need custom fields for deals, such as project price, interested project, quote of the project, whatever fields that you need. I want you to write it down, then create them in here. So after you've written down all these things, right, now you would have much better clarity on what custom fields that you need, that you actually need for your deals and for your contacts, and what your sales pipeline should look like that's customized to you. Now it's not some random new leads, converted, qualified. No, now you have specific groups where each people fall under. Now you've written down the exact processes that people take in your sales process. Now that you have written and you have those stages, the next thing I need to do is firstly creating the first custom fields like I showed you before, and nextly creating the pipeline by going in here, either renaming the existing pipeline by going into in this button deal section, just renaming them in here, or I can create a new pipeline by clicking on add a pipeline, and then you add different stages in here. New leads, qualified, whatever it is, that's whatever it is that you guys have, that's whatever it is that your AI has recommended, that's the ones that I would add. Now, once you have mapped out your sales process, right? So now that you mapped out your business process, and then you build out your CRM by adding the pipelines and stages, adding the required fields, now then I want you to make sure that your base settings and permissions are all done correctly. What does that mean? Going into settings, going into account section, making sure your time zone is set up correctly, making sure your address is set up correctly, because all these things are things that your email service provider uses to firstly verify you, and every time you send an email, it's using those credentials to send it over to them. So making sure it's accurate. Sometimes when you have delays, it uses your time zone's delays. If you use a completely different time zone than what you're in, it's going to mess things up a bit. So making sure email is connected, all the details in here is connected is a good practice. The next thing that I want you to do is your domain is connected, making sure your email service provider is connected, your phone number if you need is connected. And if you're using Calendly or any other softwares, right, I'm not sure what all softwares you have, I highly recommend connecting to all your key softwares by going to the settings and then clicking on the option called integration. So let me just zoom in. If you go to integration, you can add any sort of integration that they allow you to use. Currently, they have Shopify and a couple of other platforms. So whatever tools that you have, right, go to their app directory and connect all the key tools that you use in your business process. If you're a D2C software, you could be using ActiveCampaign. You could be using Shopify. You could be using Gmail. You could be using Google Sheets. You could be using Calendly. All those key platforms, right? I want you to go in here and then connect them. What happens is now your CRM and that platform is connected. Whenever something happens in here, a new call is booked in here, it automatically comes to ActiveCampaign. And also you can set up automations where when this happens, do a bunch of automations, which I'll get to towards the end. Yeah. So now I want you to connect all these things, all right, and any other necessary integration that you need to have. All right. Now once that is done, let's talk about setting up automations. Now this is the most favorite part out of them all. Once you do all these best practice things that I've told you guys, right, integrating them all together, making sure the pipeline is correct, set up correctly, and the custom fields are, now let's finally start automating your business process. Now, how do we do that? I want to quickly show you, starting from scratch. I'm going to explain to you how every single thing works. You can either use one of these templates, which I don't fully recommend because the template is not really good. So what I would do is click on start integration. Let me explain you firstly how each of these are. Now let me firstly show you exactly how this automation step works. So basically in ActiveCampaign, you first have a trigger module. So trigger module is what starts the automation. Then you have actions. Trigger module can be either one of the actions that happens in the CRM itself or from the connected apps. Remember when I told you need to connect apps? From the connected apps, if something happens in the connected apps, then you can trigger the automation. So one of my favorite automation things, like if you connected your Shopify account, whenever purchase is made on the Shopify, then you can choose what integration. See, it's going to say, hey, which integration it is. You select Shopify, and then you're like, hey, every time whenever the purchase is made, that's the trigger. Click on here, order is made, and then you choose the integration in Shopify, and then boom, you start the automation. Now there is an option called run once or run multiple times. If it once, that means this particular contact is only going to run through this automation only once. You never do that for things like purchasing a product, because they're going to keep purchasing, right? You want this automation, whatever it is, to keep running. So always use multiple times, but in some cases you use once. And then you can even segment the contact. So only a particular contact can go through. For example, you could be like, hey, only a woman who purchases this should go through this. So if you have a custom field called gender, you select that custom field is female. So that's how you can filter out those people as well. Anyways, that's how you trigger the automation. These are all the actions. You can have actions like sending an email, waiting for a particular time. So you can either wait for XYZ time or wait until a condition is met. You could be like, hey, wait until they purchase a product. Wait until the day is today. This is one of the most amazing features that they have. Wait until particular condition is met. You can have if-else condition. You can have multiple big roots, and and if you go to the CRM side of things, you can have a bunch of automations to update the deal, edit the deal, change the contact, update their information, complete a task, create a task, etc. Stuff like that. If you go to workflow, it basically allows you to add conditions, add split. If you want to evenly split things between two different salespeople, you can have conditions like this. If you go to, it's going to go from this automation to this step. It's going to go skip ahead. I'll show you exactly how these things work. You can trigger another automation from this automation. Can end this automation from here, or end another automation when they reach that step, and all those things. And my most favorite step is jump to. It used to be called goal conditions, and when you do that, you can be like, hey, wherever this person is in, whichever step or stage or if condition this space is in, if this condition is met, immediately pull them to this section. That's what goal condition is. There are so many use cases in here, right? Now that you understand how this tool works, how do you know what to automate? Remember when I said map out the sales process? If someone like me was there, I know exactly what to automate. So the first thing that we did for these guys, right? So we pulled everyone from different sources, right? They have leads from Facebook, from Messenger, from website, from phone calls, all these places, right? All these are different tools. Instagram is a tool, Messenger is a tool, website, they have a tool, phone call, they have a tool called Just Call. All of them, I set up an automation to put them all into ActiveCampaign under this stage called new leads. In this lead pipeline, I put them all into one place, and it's all this automation that I built right here called lead processing automation. Everyone is added to this deal and this pipeline automatically, either directly to ActiveCampaign using their integration platform, or if their integration platform doesn't have that tool, I use tools like Zapier, Make.com, N8N. Tools like these, I use those tools to put them all in here, alright? So those tools currently have an automation that adds them all into this pipeline, which starts the automation, and then I have conditions in place which sends them the automation, sends them SMS, sends them email, and we have different emails sent to different people. For example, if it's a car crash injury, we have a different email. But if it's not a car crash, then we have a different email. We have so many automations in here that basically processes them, qualifies them. Once they're qualified, we keep telling them that, hey, we'll contact you shortly. And then we have a bunch of, this is called MIA. MIA is one of our follow-up automation that follows up with them. For the next 30 days, we have an SMS, we have email, then we have another SMS, then we have another email, we have SMS, email, SMS, email, SMS, email for the next 30 days. And we have a goal condition in here, the jump to goal condition, you see, where if they did respond, stop the automation completely. So follow-up automations like this is the beauty. And so that's what I would do if I were you. Automate the lead inquiry, lead processing, automate the follow-ups. That's it. And then to take it a step further, add AI in to do things like prospect research, creating those proposals, all those things across the whole process. In this video, it's too complicated. I'm not going to go over this, but there's so many possibilities. When you start automating these things, right, you can slowly get into this thing. That is simple as well. Use ActiveCampaign itself, or use tools like Make.com or Zapier to use an AI module to do this research and send the data back to the CRM system. So that's how you automate your sales process. So just to recap, guys, what we discussed so far is making sure, firstly, all your data is currently clean by using the best practices, cleaning them, formatting them. Once those are done, the next thing is to do is making sure that your CRM is set up properly, customized to your process by properly defining what fields are important to you in a contact, in a deal, what your sales process look like, how to set up the right stages, and making sure all the baseline settings are set up correctly. Next thing is making sure that you automated everything as best as possible by utilizing the sales process that you properly defined and setting up automations in these tools. You can ask AI what to automate. It's going to give you inputs. You can even use this automation platform. It's not fully there yet, but you can type in what you want. Lead comes in, then you send this, then you send this. A bunch of automation. Some of the automation recommendations I have for you guys is lead follow-up, no response follow-up, cart abandonment follow-up, invoice follow-up, testimonial collection email sequence, proposal follow-up sequence, things like that. These are some of my recommendations that can be applied to most businesses out there. Most businesses out there. And there is so many bunch of things that you can do, right? So I've shown you guys how you can automate this. Now that you've done all these things, right, the last and the most and the final thing that you need to do is making sure that your reporting is set up correctly. So if you go to sales performance, it's going to show you your own reporting system. However, although I love ActiveCampaign, I don't like ActiveCampaign's reporting. It's limited, is not good. So what I would do is, as I said, have all your data in ActiveCampaign. Make sure that your team is properly utilizing it. I'll give you a bonus point towards the end on how to do that, right? And then lastly, making sure that your reporting is done on tools like this. As you can see, it's loading up finally. As you can see, this is one of the CRM reporting that we set up for Law by Mike for analyzing chatbots. It has much more visualization. We can drop downs, we can add filtrations and so many things, right? That's why I love Loco Studio. And now to take it a step further, if you really are cracked, you really want to automate everything. Now, if you really want to take it a step further, having the data in a Google Sheet that's connected to Loco Studio, now you have data, right? You take this data, chuck to AI, and on a monthly basis, tell AI to give you recommendations. That is the most 10 by 10 thing that you can do as a business owner, because now, instead of you checking the reporting is coming to you. How amazing is that? So as you can see, this is something that we did for Law by Mike, where so on a monthly basis, he gets this message sent to him. Hey, Law by Mike, in the last 30 days, you got 600 leads. It was a slight reduction from previous period. However, everything is good. It gives key metrics. It compares your current month to previous month. It shows you deals won, lead lost, lifetime metrics, qualification rate. All those things are mentioned in here. Monthly breakdowns, every single thing is listed in here. It gives you insights as well on what you can do. It gives suggestions. It's giving suggestions to Law by Mike. Hey, you're having a lot of losses. Please make sure that you're doing XYZ things. Please make sure that you do these things. So that's the step further that you can do once you set up your reporting and automate your business and do all these things in ActiveCampaign. So now let's get to the bonus point, right? Now that you've done all the things that I've said on this video, that is making sure that your CRM is set up correctly, pipeline stages, defining them on a piece of paper, then updating your CRM, then automating your entire process. Once you've done all these things and then you finally do reporting, now you need to make sure that your team is doing things correctly. How do you make sure that you do these things correctly? Is by firstly visualizing them. I would like you to use tools like Lucidchart, Whimsical, Miro. This is Whimsical. Since you've written down things on a piece of paper, visualize what happened. You can tell them, hey, lead comes in here. Then this happens, then this happens, then there's a decision tree. Things could go in this way. Show the split, show what happens in here, show what happens in here, show what happens in here. You visualize the whole process. It doesn't have to be this complicated, right? It doesn't have to be this complicated. It can be something as simple as this. Lead comes in, then it goes in here. We create a deal in ActiveCampaign, stages this, then we send them an email. 4 days later, if they clicked on it, yes, no. Something as simple as this can be done. Now that you visualized this thing, right, you can send this visualization layer to any team member that comes up. But the thing is, visualization is not gonna cut it. Your team needs to understand what he has to do and how what he has to do connects to this process map, which is why I love creating SOPs. SOP is what you need to do. As a business owner, firstly learn what an SOP is if you never heard of it before. SOP, if you as a business owner really wants to get to the 8-figure, SOP is the way to go. It's the only way to go. You have to SOP the shit out of every single process in your business. Write down exactly what you do. Have checklist in place, delegate that shit so you focus on the important stuff, just getting the love and attention you lacked as a child. I'm kidding. Okay, such as focusing on what brings in the revenue, sales activities, stuff like that. So SOPing is what I would recommend. And SOP is like a basic document. It's a very simple document that explains you how your sales process look like. For them, we have different stages, right? Lead intake, no response, appointment. We show them exactly what it's supposed to do, what the automation does in a very simple fashion. We show them that, hey, this automation processes leads by bringing them all in here. Then we do this. Then we send them a welcome email based on which state they are from. We assign them to the respective salesperson. Then we do this. Then we notify the salesperson. Then we create a task. In yellow box, we tell them exactly what they have to do. If you're a salesperson, please do this. Then you call them, and if they pick up, do this. If they don't pick up, do this. Move them to this stage. And then we show that visualization layer in here as well. So we have different drop downs for different stages of their processes. Sales, lead intake, no response, qualified, call booking, everything has its own drop downs, and we explain every single thing that happens. A visual layer is there to show them exactly how the automation process works. We tell them verbally on what all things happens in this automation, and the yellow box shows them what they have to do to make this automation, make this process work. And then finally, as a nail in the coffin, we attach a video. So that's the three trifecta, the trinity of a proper CRM is by having a process map, having a document, having Loom videos explaining these things. With these things, we can make sure that your team fully understands, no matter who comes in, they fully know what's happening, what needs to be done, etc. And they're fully able to comprehend everything that needs to be comprehended. That's the end of the video. Now, one last thing before you go, right? Now, if you watch till the end and you're like, hey, Fahad, I fully get it. I understand how this has to be set up, but I don't have time right now, or I want the best person to set these things up for me. If that is the case, I'm going to attach a link below. I would like to offer you a free call with me for 30 minutes where we can go over how your sales process look like, what all automations can be utilized in your business, and then see how it is that my team can help you implement these things. Now, even if you don't move forward with us, right, at least you'll understand what automations that you would need in your business. Not the generic ones I said in this video, but the exact automations that your industry, your competitors are using that you can use moving forward. So if that's something you're interested in, click on the link below, schedule a call with me, and I will see you on the next one. Yeah, ciao, see you then, bye.